All right, everybody, welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be mixing down a pretty cool project that we've been working on lately. This is The Haunted North. They've got a new single coming out on Monday. It's called The Beast. We helped do guitars and vocals on that one, so check that out. We're for this new single, we're starting out totally raw. I don't really have any effects on this, so let's dig in. I'll kind of play this for you, and you can kind of hear what it sounds like, just the raw tracks here. So already pretty huge sound. I'm already loving this. Jeff Fabb from the Black Label Society and In This Moment, he sent us some MIDI tracks for these drums. So I love mixing MIDI tracks. It helps us get like a really clear, punchy sound. So I think we're going to start with guitars on this one. So let's go into our guitar EQ here. So let's solo this out. Okay. First thing we're going to do, let's do our high pass. I like putting this around 75 to 150, somewhere in there. I'm going to keep it at 75 right now. A lot of the reference mixes that the client had given me for this one was just some really just heavy, dense, thick guitars. So let's keep it there. Next thing we're going to do is, there's a lot of times, we didn't track these guitars here. This was actually done at another studio, the rhythm guitars anyways. So I don't know if they pre-EQ'd this going in. We're just going to kind of check. I'm not hearing a lot of those gross resonant EQs that you kind of hear up in those upper mids. But just to be safe, let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to narrow a band here. I'm just going to pass it through. Yeah, so we got really fatiguing frequencies kind of in that 4K region. So I'm just going to duck that down just a little bit here. Right about there feels right to me. Let's try it again. These are pretty good, pretty well recorded guitars. I'm not hearing a ton of those fatiguing frequencies, so let's try it again. Yeah, so there's another one. Let's duck that down. All right. Now to compensate for that, a lot of times I like to just kind of do more of like a wider band here. Because now that we've ducked this down, we got to add a little bit back to it, so we don't get these stale sounding guitars. So let's do that real quick. So this is a before. This is after. So you can see we lost a little of that mid-range high end, so let's bring that back in. Yeah, that's nice. These are pretty well recorded guitars. I'm not hearing a ton of those fatiguing frequencies, so that's pretty nice. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this one. I'm not sure these guitars. We'll have to see. I'm gonna copy this over, but it's totally possible we're gonna have to re-EQ it just like we just did. Okay, yeah, so I can already hear taking that one out, it's removing that frequency. I don't know if that one's really doing much. Let's see. It's not too bad. Let's turn up the gain so we really hear it. Yeah, not bad at all. I actually don't even think it needs that other one. So we may come back. We may subtract that later, but I think that's not too bad. Nice and clean, no fatiguing frequencies. That's exactly what we want. So let's try it again on the third guitar layer. Man, there's 6 rhythm guitar layers on this, which is awesome. And they recorded these with different guitars. It sounds like, I think in the notes I was reading, one of them was like a Tele, and then they did a Les Paul. So really cool when you layer up guitars like that. It gives us a good opportunity to get those super dense guitars, which is exactly what we want for this genre specifically. So, okay, let's go back here. Same thing, but we're going to frequency sweep. I'm going to turn this up. Yeah, not a ton of fatiguing frequencies. Let's double check. Yeah, those are pretty well EQ'd. Let's go. Little bit right there. Let's take that down, but not too much. Yeah. That's not too bad. I think, I'm pretty happy with that one. For these ones, we're kind of doubling these up, and we're just putting them more in the back of the mix for now. So we may change that. We may come back to that later. So let's go here. This is our 4th guitar layer. Doing the same thing. Okay, a little bit there. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Okay, next guitar layer. A little fatiguing there. Let's take that down. Not too much. Narrow that frequency a little more. We're looking to narrow these, get it just narrow enough that we're only cutting out just that like fatiguing kind of frequency that's really going to be overshadowing the vocals and the that high end in some of the bass and the drums later on. So that's really, we're just making room right now for the other instruments. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go with this next one down here. Yeah, right there. Take that down. It's pretty good. Let's see if there's any more in there. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let's hear what these sound like all together now. Oh, yeah. Thick, dense, huge. That's exactly what we want. Okay, I'm going to play with a little bit of volume on this. So what I like to do is let's kind of pick a guitar tone. First of all, let's just zero all these out here. So I'm bringing all the guitar levels, same level. Let's listen. Nice and dense. I kind of want to, let's listen to these though. Let's see kind of which ones we want to go with. I'm actually going to take a listen to one of our reference mixes here. I'm just going to make sure, I like to kind of do like a little A-B comparison, really make sure that we're getting exactly what the client wants. So let's listen to the reference mix and let's see which one of these guitars is closest to that. So here's our reference. Not bad. Let's listen to this one. Okay, so then let's do this one here. Okay, so we got some differing guitar tones. The one that's kind of sticking out to me is this one. I really like. I just kind of like how dense that is, how thick it is. Kind of sits a little more back of the mix and just kind of holds that low end. Let's see if we can find a guitar tone. It's a little more like that. Oh, that's a good one. That one's okay. That one's okay. I like these two right here. So we're going to kind of make these the front runner of our mix here. I'm going to grab these, put these up top. Let's take these other ones. These ones are great too. But they have a little more of that cutting high end. So let's bring them back down to like -6 dB. Now let's hear what that sounds like, just those four. Now I'm going to play on this volume. So you got low guitar, then you bring this in. Just makes it thicker, denser, but it's a little more definition. Okay, let's compare to a reference. Not bad, not bad. I think we're getting close here. So let's okay. So this is another guitar layer where they're playing a different riff. For these ones, I do actually want to bring more front of the mix. So I'm going to leave that at the 0 dB. And then let's just listen to this. Let's see what our guitars sound like now. Okay, not bad. Not bad. I want to create a little more separation between these two, so I'm going to go ahead and this is a cool little EQ trick here. I have this actually saved in my template where I've got, in some of the higher frequencies, we're kind of boosting some and we're cutting a little bit. And if you look down here, we're boosting and cutting kind of in that 1K region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on these. And then we're going to bring up this other guitar. Yeah, okay, so this is what our left and right guitar, is. Now if you see, I'm going to bring in our left-right guitar of the other guitar tone. That had more of that cutting. And you can see here the EQ curve is actually the opposite. I'm boosting where I'm cutting in the other ones. And what this is going to do, it's going to create just a little more separation. So let's see what that kind of did to things. Oh, that's so much better. Yeah. You can just hear the separation there. So much cleaner. One thing we do want to make sure, the trick is, what are we going to do with these ones? These are the ones that had that slightly different riff. I think we're going to go... Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. Do you boost or do you cut? I think what we'll do is I'm going to kind of try and do the opposite of what we did on this other one. So, R2, we're boosting then cutting. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's cut and then let's boost. I like that. Let's do that same on this one here. Just creating a little more room, a little more separation. Cut and then boost. All right. Okay, now that I'm listening to this, that riff that's a little higher on the guitar scale, I think I'm gonna bring it down just a hair. I just feel like it's kind of dominating right now, and I want it to be a little more. Yeah. All right, so right now I've got these guitars panned like 60% right and left. Being that we got 6 guitar layers, I'm going to try something here. I may go back on this, but I'm going to try widening this a little bit, and I'm going to take one of these main guitar layers here, and I'm going to widen them out just a hair more. So I'm going to go like 75. Just to create just a little more space. You know, we got all these guitars. We want to make space for them so you can kind of hear them all individually. That's a little better. May go back and change that. Okay, let's go. Let's undo the effects and let's redo them. Let's see what this did to our mix. Yeah, I like that a lot better. You can hear it when I take off those effects. There's almost like a whistling noise, and that's a lot of those fatiguing frequencies that we've taken out here. So there's also just more separation. I really like that. So okay, rhythm guitar is sitting pretty nice. Let's see what happens when we add some bass to that. All right, I'm going to take a listen to these reference tracks here. Just kind of see where the bass is sitting in that mix. Okay, let's listen to that. Not bad. All right. Okay. That's helpful. I feel like our levels are okay. Let's solo this. Okay, this is the bass mic. Let's bring up the CQ. Maybe. Reaper's being a little slow. Okay. So yeah, you can see we got low pass, high pass, up. First thing I'm gonna do, I always find that with bass, a lot of times there's a lot of muddiness in that low mid. I'm gonna take that down just a little bit. I'm gonna do a little low pass. I think that's okay right there. Okay. This isn't a super distorted bass, so I'm not really hearing those teasing frequencies that we heard in like guitars, so let's kind of keep this where this is at right now. And then let's go ahead and bring up, this is a DI that I've got on the bass. But what we're going to do a little crossover here. So I'm putting on a high pass right around that 200 on the mic, and then on the low bass, see, we got it at 150. Let's bring this down. So now we've got, on this DI, we're only getting the low end. On the mic, we're only really getting everything after the low end. So let's adjust this a little bit. I want to make sure we're not too boomy. Okay. Now here's what's fun. Now we can get to compress this low sub here. So we'll run this through a maximizer. We're just trying to chop off, basically make it so that all these low notes come in at the same, all these sub notes come in at the same dynamic here. Got to be careful with the maximizer. If you overdo it, you can end up kind of neutering your bass, especially the low end. It's pretty notorious for that. I think that's okay. You see, as we lower it, we get more punchiness, but as we increase it, we get more of that flat low end that we hear in what's typical for a rock metal mix like this. So I'm okay with that right there. We may go back and adjust that. I really have to hear how this sounds with guitars and drums. So, but I think right now that's okay. We're gonna use this R bass plugin. I love this. This is really cool. We're just getting like super intense low end. I believe this is basically just like a harmonic. It's just adding harmonics. Kind of like running your bass through another amp, but it's a lot cleaner. We could be a little more surgical about it. That's okay. Let's turn it off. Make sure that did what we want. Yeah, I like that. Let's turn off this maximizer. Yeah, I like what that's doing. Okay. Yeah, I don't like what that clipper's doing. I think this is okay for now. I may have to come back and adjust things here, but just for now, this is okay. I'm feeling like this bass mic needs a little more compression. I'm trying to think what kind of compressor I want to use for this one. I'm going to start with an 1176. This is just a super transparent compressor. We've got one of these in our outboard gear, an actual physical one of these, and they're just so awesome. So let's go here. We're going to start out with low attack, high release. Let's kind of back this off. Bring up our input to where it's kind of slamming a little bit. Back it off. Now we're going to bring up the attack till we hear that compression not doing what we want. That's cool. With bass, you can really slam it. Okay, let's do the same with the release. So I don't like kind of what it sounds like there. It's really squashed. Kind of lose that punchiness. So let's bring it back. Yeah, I think that's the ticket right there. I'm going to adjust some of this ratio. Sometimes lower ratio is nicer. Doesn't slam it as hard. You do the all in. Yeah, I actually like it with that all. It's just slamming it. Okay. The 1176 is pretty transparent. I'm pretty happy with where this is at right now. We may come back and fix that. I try not to over compress too much. Use it more for character. So here we're gonna add in. This is a DI track. And it's just some like bass distortion. You can see the chain here. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. I got so many effects on it, but just kind of gives it that just like metal, gritty, churning. I love it for if you really want a bass to cut through. I don't know if we're necessarily going to need it for this mix, but I kind of want to hear just what it's going to do to it. So there we got that clean bass. I think that's okay. Let's hear how it sounds with the guitars, though. We might not even need it or want it. Okay, let's go back to our reference. Just make sure we're not doing something wrong here. Let's see what happens when we boost that distortion. I kind of like what that distortion's doing. Just helps it cut through a little more, just makes it a little more dense. We'll see. I'm going to keep it there for now. We may go back. Okay. Now for the fun part. Let's get some drums thrown in here. Now I've already spent quite a bit of time. I went through some samples this morning before the stream, and I just was messing around trying to get some good samples. I felt like kind of were as close to this reference mix as I could get here. So let's see how it sounds. Nice thing about samples is you don't really, a lot of them are like pre-EQ'd and pre-compressed. Right now the kick sample is very much processed. The rest of them aren't quite as processed as much. So right now I'm just trying to get some levels here. So let's see how this sounds compared to our reference mix. to try and find a spot that has a little more. This spot of the song has more tom work, and I want some spots that have more cymbal work. Okay, I'm feeling like our snare's just a little too obnoxious right now. Let's take that down. Let's match our level. I feel like we could use just a hair more cymbals. I've already got my cymbal master maxed out here, so let's add a little EQ just to boost it. Then we got to be careful here, make sure we're not redlining. Okay, looks like we're safe. Our snare's redlining though. What is up with that? Let's double check. Let's make sure. Ah, that's the culprit. Okay, we're going to take that all the way down. Now let's bring it up. Ooh, still red line. Let's bring it down. Okay, not bad. Now, these drum samples are, I went in there and I removed all the room. So let's go ahead and throw these into our room bus. One thing I'm hearing on these reference mixes is there's a lot of room, a lot of drum room on it, which is cool. I love that. So let's start with kick. Let's put that on our room bus. Kick room. So I'm just copying the MIDI over. And I've got, I like to keep everything separated, so I've got a whole bus that's just drum room samples, a whole bus that's just kick samples. This just gives me the ultimate control, allows us to go in and EQ compress every little individual thing that we want. Oh, let's see, Tom 1. Copy that in. Actually, let's do this a little faster. And I like to have my drum room as just the shells, at least for now. Kind of lets the cymbals cut through a little more. Wow, it makes all the shells super boomy. Okay. This particular drum recording had 4 tom samples, so I had to add one. Okay. Alright, now let's hear what just this drum room sounds like. Yeah, massive. Don't mind Reaper making those goofy artifact noises. It's really crunching on Reaper right now. Oh, I know why. It's because we have... Hold on a second, everybody. I've got 2 projects open. So I'm going to close one of them and save it. There, this will give us a little more processing power here. Gotta let Reaper do its thing. Oh my. Oh no. We tried to do too much. Reaper didn't like that. We may have to close out of this, reopen it. We'll see.